Greetings, people of the tube. Coming at you tonight with a heavy heart. A very sad day, as this afternoon I learned of the passing of R.I.P, known to most of you as Adolf Kowalski, a friend of mine for more than 40 years. I played with him in a band called Blunt Force Trauma from 1992 to 1994. But Adolf is mostly known as the frontman, guitarist of Baltimore seminal punk band the Katatonix, which date back to 1978. The really early days of punk rock in Baltimore at the Marble Bar, and released some of the early punk records here in town, which we're going to be taking a look at tonight. So yeah, with a very heavy heart, a great friend who would do anything for you, and a great band member as well, a very creative individual. So we're going to, as a tribute tonight, the best I can do, there's not much you can say or do, we're going to raise a Guinness to Adolf. And let's take a look back at some memories from happier days. So this was the Katatonix first 7-inch, 3-song 7-inch from 1983. It contains Valentine's Day, Joie de Vie, and Basket Case, which we used to cover in a punk side project as well. So anyhow, I recall going to the single release party for this at the Marble Bar, and Adolf individually, if you can see that on my camera, if it'll focus that well, that's all his handwriting, and it looks like there's a giant penis volcano erupting here with a girl that says she loves the Katatonix in a big way. So I recall buying this off the stage from Adolf. He was sitting there, and he made the comment. He said to me when he handed me the copy, he said, "Play it for your parents," and I thought that was really funny. So anyhow, moving on, we get a full-length album from the Katatonix. I don't recall the date. I tend to believe this was around 84, 85 possibly, since the single was 83. If somebody can correct me on that in the comments, please do. Divine Mission. And this record got a fair amount of airplay on both WCVT and WHFS back at the time. Pretty solid album at a time when there wasn't too many punk rock artists here in town releasing more than a single or a demo tape at the time. These guys actually had their own indie label and put out this is a full-length album. Also, the single Daisy Chain, which was one of Mr. Urbanity's songs, and it's got Home Alone on the other side, which is one of Adolf's compositions. And so that got a fair amount of college airplay too, I remember, on WCVT. Very excellent indie single. And then with a much different lineup later on, more of sort of, I would even consider this maybe a solo project for Adolf at this point. This is All Sold Out, which is a one-sided 12-inch EP. Even contains a Rolling Stones cover, All Sold Out, that you might remember from the Between the Buttons album. And Love Monkey is a song, and also Something for You. When we were in Blunt Force Trauma, we used to play versions of those songs, as we did a lot of other Katatonix material in that band as well. Joie de Vie from the original 7-inch. There's a re-recorded version of it here, which with a lot better production, though I do like the real raw vibe of the single much better, I would say, overall. And then in recent years, there was an anthology released, the 30th anniversary CD. A lot of great stuff on here, including a song called well, Something for You, and which we used to play in Blunt Force. And Crown was also another Katatonix song that we used to feature in our sets in Blunt Force Trauma as well. But overall, yeah, this is a great collection right here for, you know, a lot of 80s material from the Katatonix. And then one of the last times I actually got together with Adolf at his house, he gave me a copy of this archival release. It's recorded live a long time ago, is what it's called. And it's a fairly lengthy CD. It was recorded at a bar in Cockeysville that Cal Ripken was reportedly used to hang out in. Very entertaining live set. A lot of good, you know, in-between talking and things like that. Really raw soundboard recording. Very enjoyable for any punk rock or just Baltimore music historian as well. And oddly enough, he left himself out of the picture on the actual disc itself. And I remember him pointing that out to me when, you know, he gave me this at his house. So, yeah, I did visit him a couple times at his home in Dundalk over the past year. And, you know, we hung out and had a good time as ever. It's very sad to see him go, but it's also, remember, we still have all this and for memories. And I have a lot of pictures from our live shows and promo photos for Blunt Force Trauma. Of course, Michelle Rollins, who's our singer in that band, who did marry Adolf, and they had a daughter. She did pass away, I believe it was in 2018, and that was at a time when we were ready to get back together and do some recording. Adolf told me he had some studio time he was owed at Basement Floor Studios, and we were going to go, you know, do some recordings of some Blunt Force Trauma songs that we never got the opportunity to record. There was a session we did 3 songs at the Commercial Refinery with Mike Collins. That was probably around 1993. And when we first got together in, like, I think earlier in that year, yeah, in 93, we did a demo for the clubs that was just done on my little Tascam 4-track that I had at the time. But yeah, great memories. Played a ton of shows with Adolf, with Blunt Force Trauma. We gigged quite a bit, very regular. Practiced an incredible amount of times too. I remember getting together 2-3 times a week and rehearsing. It was just a really good time. For me as a player too, especially, I was really getting my bass chops together at the time. I always sort of played like a guitar player who picked up a bass once in a while to record, and that band and working with Adolf and Paul Cacciola, both, you know, good musicians. And Paul's drumming especially really taught me how to work with a drummer and really improved my bass chops quite a bit, which I took along to other projects eventually after that. But yeah, so no announcement yet as far as a memorial, which I will definitely be there to speak, offer anecdotes, some really hysterical stories that were a hoot and a holler back in the day. And anyway, it's getting late, and very sad day. We're just going to enjoy a Guinness in Adolf's honor. And thank you for watching, and have a good night.